Hey everyone, welcome to my channel as a married man. I want to thank you all for tuning it in and checking it out. It is here where we talk about love, life, relationships, and more, all from the perspective of a married man. So please, everyone, if you can hit that like button and definitely subscribe to the channel, I would totally appreciate it. So today I am reviewing a video from a fellow YouTuber named Rebecca Barret, and she is reviewing a post from Trisha Z and the Coffee Pod official. So I'm doing a review section, a review of a review sort of thing. But anyways, the video is titled Selfish Wife Denies Husband 25 Times in 2 Months. So I want to give a quick shout out to Rebecca Barret for the video, Chushu said, and the Coffee Pot official. Give them props for all the content they provided. And I will post a link to them in the bio for anyone that wants to check them out. So once again, before I start, this video is from Rebecca. She's reviewing a post from Trisha Z, and the video is about a selfish wife who denies her husband 25 times in 2 months. So here we go.
So this is within a 2-month period. His wife denied him a total of 25 times in 2 months. 25. She said yes a total of 3 times. 3 in 2 months. So I can 100% understand the frustration of this man to the point where he had to make a spreadsheet about it. I can understand, because if you're only getting sex 3 times in 2 months, you are very, very deprived.
So Rebecca is looking over this spreadsheet that some poor married man, not myself, thankfully, sent his wife, detailing all the times she turned him down for sex. Damn. So this poor dude went as far as to make an actual spreadsheet with dates and excuses. Even Rebecca here is like astounded as a woman, how this wife turned her husband down a total of 25 times and actually only agreed a total of 3 times. Like, that sucks. I will add real quick, like, as a married man, like every couple's different, and having been married a little shy of 15 years, I can attest that your intimacy levels may drop a little bit over time. But in the case of my fellow married man here, like, he's literally asking almost every day, meaning, what's that stupid Reddit term? Like high libido or low libido. Like, it seems that this couple are, or I would say were, like, they were high libido. And like, basically what I'm saying is like, it seems like they're used to having sex on the regular, or at least the husband expects to have sex on the regular, and cue the laundry list of excuses.
So let's go over the excuses that his wife gives him in 2 months. Okay, so it says, I'm watching the show, Friends rerun. So it wasn't even a new show. All right, I feel sweaty and gross. I need a shower. And in parentheses, it says, didn't shower until the next morning. That is disgusting. All right, ladies, we all know what the nonverbal no is. All right, so we can imagine what that would look like. So on the 5th day, she finally said yes. She finally said it. She's like, yeah, all right.
So Rebecca is basically just listing off some of the excuses that the wife gives to our poor married protagonist here. Depending on your relationship, guys, this could happen as early as the late dating phase to the engagement phase, or sooner, or it could just gradually happen after you're married. It decides whether you decide to put your foot down or not. The sex, it might start drying up. The excuses might start flowing instead. Because if you're not married and you're hearing these excuses and the sex is drying up, that's a huge red flag right there. But the point is, in any relationship, whether you're a man or a woman, there shouldn't be any excuses when it comes to withholding intimacy. So remember that.
So let's go over the excuses that his wife gives him in 2 months. Okay, so it says, I'm watching the show, Friends rerun. So it wasn't even a new show. All right. I feel sweaty and gross. I need a shower. And in parentheses, it says, didn't shower until the next morning. That is disgusting. All right. Ladies, we all know what the nonverbal no is. All right. So we can imagine what that would look like. So on the 5th day, she finally said yes. She finally said it. She's like, yeah, all right, let's do it. And the next day, my man was like, let me try to get another one in. And she says, I'm still a bit tender from yesterday. My man probably laid it down so intensely because he's like, I don't know. I'm like a freaking person in the desert that can't get water. So he's like, let me get what I can get now. And let me just try. Let me just try to see if I can get it the next day. Clearly, she said no. So she really likes the nonverbal excuses. She really likes the I feel gross, I feel icky, I haven't showered yet excuse. She really likes those types of excuses. And then the next time it says, you're too drunk, I feel gross, I'm not feeling good, I ate too much, I'm sweaty and gross and I'm tired. Another nonverbal, I might be getting sick, I need a shower, I feel gross, I'm too tired, yada, yada, yada. You guys get the picture. My man only had sex 3 times in 2 months, to the point where he had to make this freaking spreadsheet. And I honestly don't think it's ridiculous. The only ridiculous part of this whole entire thing is the fact that she only gave him sex 3 times in 2 months.
So more excuses here. And if you're a married man, these are all familiar. Like, trust me, I've heard them all. And like our protagonist here has, he's heard them all. And yeah, like they are all insincere. They're all fake. And they all just what they are. They're excuses. And personally, like I know I've told my wife straight up in the past, like, just say no, okay? Like, don't give me that. My cat's daughter's cousin's nephew is sick, or I have rabies, or I didn't get any sleep, and it's like, dude, just say no. Like, literally, I'll respect you even more if you just cut the excuses and just be upfront and honest. Like, I can accept that. Uh, it's like any job, any employer, like anything in life. No one wants to hear excuses. It's almost insulting to a point. Like it becomes insulting after a while, and that's what this whole spreadsheet is. And like Rebecca, I agree with her near the end where she states like the spreadsheet isn't even ridiculous. What's ridiculous is the amount of sex that she actually gave him, like 3 times in 2 months, where he was asking almost every single day. And as I said before, like every couple's different. Like, not every couple does it every day. Like, not every man wants it every day. But you can see here that this married man, he does want it almost every day. Like, remember that. Like, this man, he expects and hopes for sex from his wife almost every day. Just remember that.
If your husband wants sex, give him sex. Point blank, period. Okay? Do you want to know how many times I haven't felt good for sex? I haven't felt sexy for sex. I was cramping or I had a headache. Do you know how many times? Countless of times. Okay? Guess what? When my husband asked for sex, I still gave it to him.
So it's a surprisingly spicy take here. All us men are going to be saying hell yeah, and a lot of women might angrily disagree. And this is where the Epist movement might chime in with the whole my body, my choice, or I have a right to say no, and stuff like that. And I can honestly say, though, as a married man, I don't think I've ever met a lot of men. I don't think I've ever heard a lot of men, any man ever in my entire existence, I've never met a man say that he does not want sex or have turned it down, you know, ever. No man has ever come to me with the whole man. My wife won't leave me alone. She wants sex all the time. Or single guys saying, man, there's just so many women wanting to have sex. I can't stand it. Like, it's just, it's not a guy problem, you know? Men don't experience that. Men don't ever turn women down for sex. It just doesn't happen, you know? But women, on the other hand, turning down sex is, it's something they learn, you know, as they grow, either, you know, from being propositioned so often or just having the option to give it out so easily all the time, you know, like for women, turning down sex becomes a learned skill. You know, that's the eternal struggle between men and women right there. Like turning down sex, that's just a woman thing, you know? So yeah, I'm just being honest. Like, but like Rebecca says, though, ladies and wives, you know, give your husband sex. Like, even if you don't feel like it, like, it's kind of a mandate of being married, you know. It's something so simple, but it means so much to your husband. Like, it's almost mind-blowing why you wouldn't just do it just to make your husband happy, you know?
These excuses have to go. They honestly have to go because clearly this man is starved for sex. He is starved for intimacy. The fact that he's asking every day or every other day just goes to show you that the man just wants a little bit of intimacy. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes of intimacy to make your husband feel good. But these women, they're lazy. You get married and you think, oh, well, I got married, so I guess I don't have to try anymore. But back in the day, you were slopping it up left and right for any Joe Schmo that you would, go out with. But for your husband, who you said that you are in it for the long run, right? You are in it for forever because that's what marriage is about. You're with one person.
So I skipped past a minute or two in the video where Rebecca talks about how, you know, when her husband asks for it, she gives it to him. And all these excuses about, well, my back hurts and I have a headache and I'm in pain. All these excuses Rebecca states, like once she has sex, they all magically disappear. She then goes on quickly about dopamine and endorphins and oxytocin, these chemicals that flood the body after sex, how they make you feel better. And there's probably medical studies on the subject. But anyways, she does bring up some good points here. And one, and the most important, is that this poor married husband, the protagonist of our story here, he's just desperate for intimacy. You know, he's starved for sex, and his wife like shoots him down almost every single time. Um, but Rebecca continues, and she does bring up a good point. It's something that's talked about a lot in the red pill community and in the manosphere, and that is to say that certain women, once married, they get lazy. Like women get complacent, you know, whereas when they were single, they were slopping it up, as Rebecca states, to every random guy that came their way. Some women, once they get that ring, once they make that vow to their husband, uh, to love and to cherish, you know, this one man in particular for the rest of their lives, the moment they make those vows, they get complacent. And when complacency, they stop sex, they stop the romance, they stop the intimacy. And whereas the husband who grew accustomed to having sex on tap, you know, he's left empty-handed. And remember what I said earlier, like every couple's different, of course. And married life does happen. You can go from the high sex relationship to a low sex relationship. There's the honeymoon phase you always talk about. Like things cool down. It's natural, but it's not natural for it to grind almost to a complete halt And to be honest, that's a red flag, and it's grossly unfair to the man. And I do hate to bring the MGTOW crowd and the red-pilled crowd into this debate, but it is well documented in the manosphere, um, that women, when they get married, they get complacent, and more importantly, this is leading to a decline in marriage itself. I Women behaving this way, women dropping the ball once they get the ring, like that's a big reason why guys aren't even bothering to wife up women anymore. Like that's why modern men are preferring casual hookups, thing, dating apps, and or just like pumping and dumping women because I guess this is every man's worst nightmare. Like to marry one woman to be with her for the rest of your life. And what does she do? She punishes you by turning off the sex valve, you know? It happens. It happens more than you think. And believe it or not, like men are dumb. Like we know what's happening, and we're growing and adapting to that.
You get married, as soon as this ring is on your finger, you're like a dead fish on a bed. Come on now. Like, let's keep it a buck here. It is honestly the least you can do to make your husband feel good. Like, men don't need a lot in marriage. Men don't need a lot of things to make them happy. But sex is one of those things that is a non-negotiable for men in marriage. Non-negotiable.
So pretty much what I was saying earlier, as a couple, you go from having, sex often, a lot, or just like crazy, But once that wedding ring gets attached, then it drives up. All of a sudden, the tap gets turned off. And Rebecca's completely right about one thing that she says here is that men don't need a lot. Like, honestly, we don't ask for a lot. Right? Only one is a wife, a mother for our children, and loving, caring, nurturing woman. Like our other half, like men, like we're willing to work our asses off, like suffering and the stress and all the burden that comes along with being a provider or the other half of the household. That At the end of the day, all we want is just to come home to a wife, All we wanted is to come home, have a meal ready, then have someone ready who wants us and is looking forward to us and appreciates us. And one of the best ways a woman can show her appreciation is through sex. And Rebecca's completely 100. Like, sex is a non-negotiable for us. And then you factor in, as I said so many times earlier, like it was flowing so freely before, and then the wrinkles on the finger and it's gone. Like that's a big deal, and that's a point of concern for a lot of guys.
It pisses me off more than anything because all men really just want is that little bit of intimacy, is that little bit of connection with their wife. He is attracted to you. The fact that he wants to have sex with you on a regular basis should make you feel good. Because if he wasn't asking for it, you would have a real problem because you would know that he's getting somewhere else. And at that point, he might be getting somewhere else.
Well, once again, Rebecca brings up a good point here. Good points, I should say. She mentions how all men want is a little bit of intimacy, and that's the truth. A husband wanting to have sex with his wife, it means he's attracted to her. Like that's common sense. And ladies, you should be happy that you have a man who is yearning for you. And that red flag I mentioned earlier, like it goes both ways. Like ladies, if you refuse to if that time ever comes when you deny your husband sex for so long, and one day he just stops asking, it's then, and I mean then, it's time for you to worry. Like some of the biggest red flags are when your spouse refuses to have sex with you, and also secondly, when your spouse stops initiating sex with you. So those are two huge red flags and signs that your marriage is in serious trouble.
with his wife that you said that you were going to be with him for the rest of his life. He has only you to stick it in, and you don't want to give it to him. And then women are surprised when when their husband steps out of the marriage. Well, baby girl, 3 times in 2 months? This is a unique experience that we get to see into the world of a man that is deprived of sex, but men are keeping tabs in their head. You don't think that your husband is keeping tabs in his head? Oh, well, haven't had sex in 3 weeks. Haven't had sex in 2 months. Haven't had sex like in a year, and we are surprised?
Yeah, I think that's the last clip I'll play here. But what Rebecca says, once again, it's true. Like a husband only has his wife to quote, stick it in, That's it. When married, a man only has one woman whom he can get sex from, and that happens to be his wife. And what happens when his wife denies him that most basic and necessary need that any man craves in a marriage? And then these are the sort of married women that are absolutely shocked when their husband like checks out of the relationship or he starts an affair. I would hope as a married man myself that any husband, if his marriage got that bad, that he would confront his wife directly. He would seek counseling. Like if his wife doesn't want to put out, then, and if there's a reason for that, I would hope the husband would just divorce his wife, not cheat. Like I'm saying, guys, married men, don't cheat. It's more destructive than you can imagine. Like I'm saying, just leave, guys. Get a divorce. Like that's my advice here. I know that's easier said than done, and you stand to lose a lot. But once again, Rebecca, she brings up a point, and I brought it up earlier as well. Like, men aren't dumb. Like men know, and we remember, we learn, and we grow, and we adapt, and we overcome. A married man knows damn well the last time he had sex, and he knows every excuse his wife gives, and then he knows whether it's BS or it's legitimate, or he knows if his wife is punishing him or withholding it, and maybe not why, but he knows what's happening. And men are dumb, like period. And it's this sex deprivation, housewife laziness. That's the reason a lot of men don't want to get married anymore. I know I'm going to take a lot of flack for that housewife laziness remark. Um, the ladies, trust me, as a married man, I know how it is to have cooking and cleaning and children. I know all about that. Yeah, I feel dirty excuse. Yeah, if you're in a house all day with crying kids and you're cooking and cleaning, like I've been a domestic house man, married man myself. Like I know domestic servitude hell and feeling dirty. I know all about it, but I also know a lot about women who are just plain complacent. And I know the effects that has on men. Like there is more to the video here. I don't want to take up any more of your time going over kind of the same stuff, but Rebecca just glosses over things that we had already mentioned. Finishing off the video, she talks about how in a sexless, unhappy marriage, a man he'll cheat or he'll leave. So don't act surprised. She talks again about how guys are simple beings, in terms of needs. And as a married man, I can attest this as being true as well. Like men don't need a lot to be happy. A home cooked meal, a happy family, a clean house, and of course sex. And sex, as we both stated earlier here, Rebecca and I, that is one thing men do need. It's a non-negotiable, as Rebecca stated earlier. Men might not need much, but sex is in the top 3, I'll say, for sure. A wife keeping her men happy, that used to be a badge of honor here. Hopefully it still is. It used to be a source of pride for women to say her husband's stomach is full and his balls are empty and whatever. And mission accomplished. I have a happy husband and a happy home. But Rebecca, She, she ends her video with some simple and pretty sage advice. It- Have sex with your husband, ladies. Like, period. Might sound crazy that something as simple as sex is the hinge pin or linchpin or the little bolt that holds the entire marriage together, but sometimes it is. Sometimes you can gauge how healthy a marriage is by how much sex a couple is having. Yeah. And you know it's true. Yeah, you can ask a friend or you can read about how a couple that, they haven't done it in years and how they sleep in a separate beds and you look at your own marriage and you're like, damn, like that's totally unhealthy, but it's true. Sex can show how healthy and happy a marriage is. And unfortunately, some women weaponize sex. They withhold it. They use it as punishment, or some women they'll lure men into a relationship with ample sex just so they can get that ring, and then bam, the sex is gone. But what is sex? Like sex is intimacy, and intimacy is love, isn't it? Like I know sex is just a recreational activity nowadays, but in marriage, sex is supposed to be a sign of love and of intimacy. And intimacy, that's the kind of glue that holds everything together. That's one of the building blocks of a happy marriage. And this video, it was all about a married man who is basically documenting his nightmare. Like basically, he's documenting the deterioration of his own marriage and his disbelief and his unhappiness in it all. Like there's actually a lot to learn from this video and from that spreadsheet. And from what Rebecca Barret talked about, and as a married man myself, I agree. Like, yeah, sex ebbs and flows, and sometimes there's a lot, and sometimes there's a little, but it should always at least be constant. Oh, when it just stops, that's the biggest red flag you can have in a marriage. When the sex dies, that's kind of the death bell of a marriage, the first nail in the coffin, so to speak. But you'll let me know what you guys think. Let me know what your thoughts on Rebecca Barrett's video is. Let me know your thoughts on marriage itself, on sex, and how the importance of sex, and on women not performing their duty in the bedroom. Yeah, let me know, guys. Hit me up in the comments or feel free to hit me up by email. My email is asamarriedman@outlook.com. I want to give thanks to Rebecca Barrett again and to Chiza Zed, to the Coffee Pot official. Thanks to everyone going around. And especially want to thank my audience here. If you're still listening, that is. Um, Thank you guys. I hope I can get a like and a sub. I hope you'll be back for the next video. Totally appreciate all of you. Talk to you in the next one. Bye for now.